Hey, thanks for joining the chat there, Spaceballsy, in our in TikTok. Finally, we'll start actually doing some stuff here with my pledge. Um, Sorry for all the delay there initially, as I'm. It's been a while since I've done streaming, so I'm trying to get back into it here. And with that said, um, yeah, I mean, second edition Company of Heroes pledge here in front of me. This box is huge. It's hard to fully appreciate the size. It's heavy. I don't know how heavy, but heavy and big and full of content. So first off, before I dig in too deep with the content inside the the box, I do want to first touch on what it is that I'm talking about here. So some of you probably are familiar with this Kickstarter pledge. A couple from now, probably a couple years ago, it said it. When sometimes these pledge they say when it fulfilled. So this was supposed to deliver, I guess, in June of 2023. I haven't looked at the information on this in a long time. It only just arrived like a week or so ago, so a little behind schedule. There's a large reason for that, a lot of reasons for that, and we won't go through that here. But point is, this is the Company of Heroes second edition board game, and I actually had the original edition when that was backed even more years ago, and I decided to sell that because I then saw they were coming out with the second edition, and there was a lot of changes that were going to be made that I felt just starting it would make more sense to start fresh. So that's what I did. I decided to sell my first edition and then just back the second edition. I waited patiently. It finally arrived. It did pretty well as far as crowdfunded board game projects are concerned. For those of you not aware, Company of Heroes is a computer game franchise that's been around now for at least 10 years plus, and they've made a lot of uh, what's the word, new versions of Company of Heroes, the video game. So I think they continue to make the video game, and this is a board game based around the video game. So a big part of the video game is resource management. It's the video games in World War II RTS game, and that's what this board game is trying to simulate, is the resource management aspects of the video game. And I obviously did have the original version and I played it a little bit. You can see a video of me playing through that um, in on our Talking Cardboard YouTube channel, and then I got the chance to play on Tabletop Simulator with the designer of both. I don't know if it's technically the if I, we played. I guess it was technically the second edition that I was playing with the designer on Tabletop Simulator. So I'm not going to go through the whole pledge page in detail. It's very complex. Lots and lots and lots of stuff you can see. In terms of what I got the pledge that was called the New Backers 4-player bundle. And then in addition to that, I also had some add-ons as shown here. So a 2-faction core set, legacy map pack, blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe I should click here, your pledge info, in case you guys are wondering. So I had the 4-player bundle, which includes all of this stuff. And then I also, I guess, got Terrain Pack 1, a mini pack bundle, which had all this stuff. The supply crate, which is the big thing right here, is called the supply crate. So this is not normally part of the game, by the way. I should maybe make that clear right off the bat, because it is obviously pretty cool and impressive. And then the solo / co-op expansion content, and then this Universal Vehicle Commander set, which I guess was just a $2 add-on. Obviously, total was not cheap by any means, $369 for all of this stuff. But honestly, also to say that this is not worth that, I think this is that's a reasonable dollar amount for everything that we're getting here. And obviously, the point of this is to see for myself if I feel I'm getting my money's worth. Oh yeah, sorry, Spaceballsy from the TikTok chat. Uh, I bought an I decided not to get the cathedral. I decided not to get that, and I can't remember what my reasoning was. It looked really cool, but I felt maybe I invested enough as it was. Unless that's Train Pack 1. But I think, and as again, if you're watching on YouTube, unfortunately the chats don't. I need to get it so that all my chat messages show up on the screen here. But on TikTok, the Spaceballs mentioned that the original designer did pass away, which was a very sad story, by the way. I think it's worth touching on. He unfortunately, the details weren't. I don't know if the details were ever. There was a ton of details given to the backers and updates for the campaign, but there was. That's where I heard about the original designer's passing, and he did take his life. So it was obviously a very, for backers of the game, a very tragic, a situation, and it was unclear if they were going to continue the game or not, because he had a team of people supporting the project, and they decided to, kind of in honor of him, the original designer, push through and finish out the completion of what you're seeing here. So it's actually a pretty cool story, and really sobering for me as a backer to understand that board games is more. The board game hobby is more than just a hobby. So, all right, let's get into it. I have no I this is not rehearsed or anything, so I apologize if it's a little all over the place. So you can see the flaps here. In this plastic crate, I would not say it's not like a hunting it's not like a durable hunting kind of crate that you would take on a camping adventure. It's on the flimsier side, but it's not. It's meant just to house a board game, so I'm not going to really complain too much about that. First thing here, Terrain Pack 4. And let's see what... Oh, Terrain Pack 4 looks like a bunker. Let me put it on the side camera over here. So, Terrain Pack 4 talks about the Mega Bunker. Okay, so instead of just calling it what it is, they call it Terrain Pack 4, but this is the Mega Bunker. Man, I feel like I gotta actually open these. I wasn't planning to necessarily open up everything because it takes time to take shrink wrap off, and that's not very entertaining to watch on the camera. But I also think it's not fun to see these like a big part of this game is the 3D models, if you haven't picked up on that already, and why not show them off? So sorry for me struggling with trying to oh my gosh, I almost need to have like a assistant here helping. Okay, so back to the side camera. This is the Mega Bunker. It literally is just that, just a very relatively detailed bunker model, and it's supposed to be, these are supposed to be user friendly, so like the bases of the actual units would fit on these, is my understanding. I don't know if they would fit inside the bunker too, but I digress. That's Terrain Pack 4. The Mega Bunker is what it's called, and I won't try to spend too much time on each of these things because there's a lot to get through. All right, well, let's do all these small packs. I won't open up all these small packs for time, but this is called the Stug. I'm not sure if it's Stug or Stug, if anyone on the chat knows the answer to that question. But the Stug Assault Pack, and this looks like it just comes with Yeah, everything here on the box. So 4 of the Stoogs, additional a bonus elite infantry commanders. So a big part of the board game, obviously I'm not going into detail as to how the board game is played, but a big part of the board game experience is customizing what units you are actually playing with in the game. And I don't think you always will have the same list of units to buy when playing the game. So that said, the game has a lot of I think it kind of depends on the commander that you're playing with, and if someone's listening or in the chat wants to clarify that, feel free. But anyway, so this is a smaller expansion pack. Here we have Eastern reinforcements. Looks like a couple Russian or Soviet tanks that are added in this expansion. Oh yeah, the contents is way down there. Jeez, I'm sorry, that's not coming up clear. But it says 2 ISU 152 units. 6 sniper infantry. Oh yeah, I guess it does show the sniper infantry, so that's kind of cool. And then commander card. 4 different commander cards. And yeah, so the commander cards provide a variety. The commander card is a big reason this game has so much replayability, is because each commander, you only, I think, choose one, and you play then a whole game with just that one commander, and each commander has a variety of unique abilities or units that it can use. So that's a big part of the board game. I actually never really played the video games significantly, so I'm not sure how much of a factor that was for the video game. But all right, so next we have, this is called the Pathfinder pack, and this includes 6 U.S. infantry, 1 U.S. commander, 1 Wehrmacht commander, and 2 elephant tank destroyers. So just more content to play with. Again, those commander, like, you can quickly see all these little expansions are adding commanders, that variety of commander cards, I should say. So the amount of what am I about to say? The replayability is quickly expands. All right, so just trying to make sure I'm not missing any more messages. Next, let's take out the Soviet player set. Okay. So Soviet player set, I assume it must have been. Oh no, I can't remember how they actually did this. But Soviet player set is obviously the content to play as the Soviet faction. So over here we have a good overview picture of everything that's included in the Soviet faction. A big part of the game is managing your resources. So whenever you're playing, you have your own little resource management. What do they call it? I think it's called must be called the HQ board. And here you're tracking the income that you are adding every turn, and then how many resources you actually have in total. So as you'll be taking over resource points during the course of the game to increase the amount you gain every turn, and that's a big part of RTS games in general, but also the Company of Heroes RTS game. So tons of infantry. It says 20 total infantry, M3 scout cars, T-70 tanks, T-34 tanks, S-70, Su-76 assault guns, Su-85 tank destroyers, the HQ board, building tiles, 3 Soviet building tiles. And, oh yeah, because every faction has their own little tech tree that you use to determine what you can build. So I think that's what that's referring to. And then the commander cards, so 6 commander cards. So the Soviet player will have, this expansion gives you six unique commanders to try right off the bat, just for the Soviet player. So again, going back to what I was saying earlier, not only is each faction going to have unique units, but then the unique commander cards for each faction as well. So, all right, let's continue on with the British player set. So I'm going to assume more or less the same in terms of what's offered in the British player set, but let's just quick go through the back here and the contents. So 20 infantry, just like the Soviet one. 6 Piats, which is like British anti-tank. 3 universal carriers, 3 Staghounds, 2 Cromwell tanks, 2 Centaur AA guns, 2 Churchills, and then the acrylic HQ board again, as well as building tiles, and then the 6 command cards as well for the British. So, it's, if I haven't said this yet, the units are all asymmetric too. So I don't know if the division of units and infantry is identical for every faction, but certainly the capabilities of all the units, infantry and tanks, is unique for every faction. So I talk about that there's replayability just from these commander cards. There's replayability too because every faction will have units that are differentiated from the other armies, the other factions. So that's also, I think, something that makes this game really cool. All right, so here's another box I have called Captured Panthers, and it says that this is called a Universal Vehicle Commander set. And includes the Panther tank, but I get the impression these are tanks that generally the Panther was a German tank. Yeah, and it does say in the small fine print right there, versatility. Mix and match this with existing factions, whether you're leading the U.S., Soviets, or Wehrmacht. The Panther pack adapts. So 5 commander cards. Geez. Yeah, that's a lot of commander cards for a little small expansion. I'm curious how those commander cards, each of those commander cards do. Okay, so next we have Terrain Pack 1. And, okay, this was, I forget what happened I guess you don't otherwise get cool 3D buildings if you don't get this terrain pack. It also comes with cool bunkers and the flags. I'm completely blanking on what the core game would come with if you didn't get this terrain pack 1, but I remember asking about which terrain pack to get, and it seemed that this one was worth getting. So I did take the shrink off this one so we can see what the buildings look like in case any of you were curious that are watching. And here we have the roof of the building. And what's nice about... Oh, sorry. I thought the roofs come off. Because these ones... Oh, these are upside down. But just like the bunker, these are supposed to be... these buildings are usable. You're supposed to slot your units right on the roof of these buildings to simulate they're on the building, which I think is kind of fun and thematic. And then a bunch of flag posts. You'd use these to designate which faction's in control of the various resource points on the map. So that's the main... gosh. And then all the different colored flags for the flagpoles. Oh, this looks like some barbed wire. And these are bunkers that... I want to say bunkers get played and put on the board by certain units that have an ability to do that. So that's Terrain Pack 1. let's see. Go back to the big box. We will take out the Solo and Fog of War expansion. So this was a big selling point for me because the RTS game, like most RTS games, are meant to be being played solitaire. Sure, certainly, or just by single player. Certainly, you can play multiplayer in a lot of RTS games, as I'm sure Company of Heroes had a group fan base that played the video game multiplayer. But I have to assume most of the Company of Hero players were playing like the campaign, which is a single player campaign. So to me, it's obvious that a game like this should have a lot of solo/co-op content. But there, you do have to get the expansion to which is called the solo expansion here, and if you did want to play solitaire. And basically, it then comes with a AI system, and I'm not going to go into detail how it works exactly. They did change this up a little bit from that first edition, so that, again, part of the reason why I just wanted to start fresh with the second edition was they were changing up the co-op and the co-op slash solo play of this game. But yeah, and then there's like this Fog of War element too that I think basically means there's units that move around and you're not exactly sure what they are until they reveal themselves, and so that kind of adds, I think, a Fog of War element that I feel you also can even use in a competitive game. But certainly for co-op or solo play, I think the AI units are generally unrevealed until you are within line of sight to them, which is very similar to an RTS game where you don't have perfect visibility of the game map. So that's the solo expansion. My big thing that I will say now again, and I am a broken record because I mentioned this a lot, I really want a campaign for this game, like a solo co-op. It doesn't have to be co-op even, just soloable campaign where you have mission after mission, because there's so much content for this game. And I just think that having curated missions, leveraging then the base rule set that you get with this solo expansion would be so much fun. But I know it's easier, that stuff someone actually has to take the time to design all of that and everything, but I just think that this game is screaming for a dedicated solo/co-op campaign, or at least just a booklet of 10 different missions you can play through that are very unique and very thematic, that sort of thing. So back to the box here. We now have the core game, board game itself, of Company of Heroes, and in the core game, I think you just get then, as you saw already, I have the Soviet expansion and that British expansion, because in the core box, you do only get a U.S. faction and German faction, and therefore you're only getting the units to accommodate 2 factions, so the core game is only enough for 2 players. And yeah, contents wise, everything is listed down here. So 50 infantry, that's obviously split between both Germans and the Americans. 26 vehicle miniatures. It doesn't really break down all the different types of units in this one, but you can kind of see for yourself the different types of tanks. The Sherman tanks, of course, probably for the U.S., and then the various like Tiger tank maybe for the Germans, and I'm blanking on the other types of tanks that maybe the Jag Panthers in there. And then you have everything else you need to play the game. So this includes then all the other core elements that you would need to actually play a game of Company of Heroes. So one thing too about Company of Heroes is combat is done simultaneously, and it's done automatically. So normally in war games, of course, you're rolling and you need like a 5 or 6 to get hits. In this game, as long as units will automatically hit other units. In some cases, you may roll a die now and then, but because of that, it eliminates a lot of. It keeps the pace of play for this game very quick, and also kind of eliminates that luck factor of poor or lucky die rolling that may annoy a lot of other types of people or keep people away from wargaming because they don't like the fact that there's a lot of die rolling. So this game, Company of Heroes, does not have a lot of die rolling in it, and that may or may not appeal to people, but I just wanted to throw that out there as a unique aspect of this game. And then finally we have what's called the Legacy Map Pack. I'm not actually 100% sure what the Legacy Map Pack is even all about. Let's read the back of it. Oh gosh, I have a lot of stuff now, as you can see on the table. Alright, so Legacy Map Pack says, revisit the classic battles of the Company of Heroes board game with the Legacy Map Pack. An expansion that adds 4 new maps and 40 new missions to the game. Okay. The Legacy Map Pack features the original maps from the first edition of the game, but revised and improved for better gameplay, balance, and aesthetics. Alright, so that's probably what sold me on it, that you got 40 new missions to play with, and that just means more replayability. So yeah, with that said, a lot of content here, and I definitely hope to get this to the table sooner than later. I know I'm not opening things up because otherwise I think this could take hours if I went through and opened every single box that I have one by one. So sorry if you were looking for me to do that, but hopefully this gives you an idea of what Company of Heroes is, the board game is, and maybe interests you in checking it out. And this is published again by, I didn't say the publisher. The publisher is Bad Crow Games. This only arrived to backers within the last week or so. So it's very fresh to a lot of people, at least here in the U.S. And I see John from Talking Cardboard joined the chat. Hey, John. Yeah, another war game is right. Definitely. I'll probably leave this on our live video channel of Talking Cardboard. So if you also back this, I'm curious if you've gotten a chance to play it yet and what you think of it. I'm excited to, like I said, hopefully sooner than later table this and maybe paint some of these miniatures, because the miniatures are very detailed. They're very well done. They're very high quality, and even with what's nice is that they at least have the base color of the faction. So the German miniatures are gray, as you saw. The U.S. ones are green. British, I think, are tan. Soviets are more of that maroon. But at the same time, I think having a more of a realistic paint job on all of the minis would make this game pop out a lot on the table. So same with the terrain and the buildings too. All right, well, I will stop the rambling. Thanks so much for those that watched live, and definitely, if you're not already, follow and subscribe to our Talking Cardboard YouTube channel. That way you can get notifications if we go live again in the future. And if you're watching on TikTok, then definitely check out our YouTube channel. And if you're watching on YouTube, definitely check out our Talking Cardboard TikTok. So with that said, thanks everyone. Hope you have a good rest of your day.